Um, okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome you all to this month's Journal Club. Because of the RRC, some of our teaching program has become a bit truncated, but I think it will, once the RRC completes, we will start it again. But Journal Club is one of the most important, what shall we say, tools in the armamentarium of the teaching, because it, apart from not only encouraging you to, read the latest literature, the latest journals, it will also, make your mind more inquisitive and analytic to try and, dissect the information, and also to be able to critically analyze the information that is available. One of the topics which is very still, though there are lot of meta-analysis, Cochrane reviews that have come, which I thought had actually settled the debate about laparoscopic cholecystectomy in the index admission of acute cholecystitis. Newer evidences keep coming to, dispute that idea, whether everyone should be should be operated or not. So to, address that question again, there is another article from the Annals of Surgery, which is a journal with a very high impact factor, probably one of the most quoted journals in surgery. So this is from the, Nottingham and Birmingham group from the United Kingdom. So they have done a retrospective analysis of all index cholecystectomies compared to interval cholecystectomies, compared to those who did not undergo cholecystectomy at all, to see whether it is justified doing cholecystectomies at the index admission. I think there are a lot of confounding factors in this particular paper. So let us dissect it. I hope all the students have actually read the journal. It was put up much early in the, as soon as we decided on the paper. So I hope all of you have read it. It's a very good paper. So I hope we'll, have good discussion about this. So without much delay, I'll now ask Indraja to start presentation.
Yes, sir. Am I audible, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. Good evening to everyone. I'm Dr. Indraja, first year surgery resident in Saga Hospital. Today, my topic in Journal Club is outcomes following an index emergency admission with cholecystitis. It was a national cohort study conducted by Gemma Mitton et al., published in British Journal of Surgery on January 2019. It
No,
is
no,
a
no. It is
It
published
is
in
NLC.
Annals of Surgery, not
Okay,
British Journal.
sorry,
Okay.
sorry. And it is a retrospective cohort study. It included all patients coming to the healthcare systems, including the National Health Services in the United Kingdom. The prevalence of gallstones in the global adult population is around 10 to 15%, and the most common complication of gallstones is acute cholecystitis. Around 80% of the people do not suffer from pain or complications. And to prevent recurrent episodes of cholecystitis and further complications, laparoscopic cholecystectomy is the recommended choice of treatment. There were many clinical trials that have concentrated on the timing of performing cholecystectomy. There was concern is that patients may be overtreated if policies continue to promote index emergency cholecystectomy. In order to avoid surgery-related complications, can be avoided by non-operative approach, but it is unclear that delaying cholecystectomy has a detrimental effect on patient outcomes and increases the healthcare costs. The primary aim of this study is to identify the patient or hospital variables that determine which patients do not undergo cholecystectomy following index admission and their 1 year mortality rate. And the secondary aim is to understand if interval cholecystectomy on subsequent admission had a detrimental effect on patients by comparing 1 year total hospital admission time and mortality with those patients treated with emergency cholecystectomy. The data were extracted from hospital episode statistics. which is a database containing all the information about the admissions and inpatient and outpatient records. And the data was collected from April 2002 to March 2015, and it is linked to the Office for National Statistics. That data were analyzed in the line with a data sharing agreement with NHS Digital for HES data, and it included all the patients over the age of 18 years with primary diagnosis of acute cholecystitis that coded by using International Classification of Diseases version 10, and it excluded with records with missing data or invalid data sets, and patients who underwent cholecystectomy for malignancy and pancreatitis and cholelithiasis. And it also excluded the patients who died in the hospital without undergoing cholecystectomy. The patients were grouped either as no cholecystectomy and cholecystectomy groups, and cholecystectomy group is further divided into emergency and interval cholecystectomy. And propensity score matching is used to match the emergency and interval cholecystectomy groups. The outcomes measured monitor were 1 year total hospital admission time for all biliary causes and 1 year mortality rate, which was defined as death occurring within 1 year following index emergency admission with acute cholecystitis. In order to allow the comparable risk adjustment, patient and hospital characteristics were defined as unexplanatory variables. These include patient's age, sex, ethnicity, and quantiles of index multiple deprivation score, Charlson comorbidity score, trust volume, and type of hospital. And index of multiple deprivation score, it uses a weighted scores across several domains to stratify inequality and relative deprivation among neighborhoods of England population. It includes crime, living environment, housing and services, income, employment, education, and training and health and disability. It includes 5 groups. uh, the highest state of deprivation has been linked with negative impact on health. It includes 5 groups within IMD score range from 8.4 to 34.18, and the score less than 8.4 are patients with least deprived, and patients with score more than 34.18 are most deprived, that patients have negative impact on health. And Charlson Comorbidity Index, it is an index to predict the death. It is an index to predict the death within 1 year of hospital admission with the specific comorbidities. It consists of different conditions which given a point from 1 to 6, and all the points were summed up and given as comorbidity score. And trust volume was expressed as the average number of emergency procedures per year, and it is evaluated as categorical variable. It includes low, medium, and high groups. And low, it consists of less than 24 emergency cholecystectomies per year, and medium is consists of 25 to 49, and high more than or equals to 50 emergency cholecystectomies per year. And results presented here are described in accordance with strobe guidelines, and difference between groups were evaluated using chi-squared test and t-test for continuous variables, and propensity score matching is used to select the patients with similar characteristics, and logistic regression model were used to compare 1 year mortality between two matched groups. Strobe guidelines is strengthening the reporting of observational studies in epidemiology. The aim of these guidelines to provide a readily available checklist to ensure clear presentation. It is created to aid the author in ensuring high quality of presentation of the conducted observational study. It consists of 22 checklist items that the author needs to be fulfilled before submitting to a journal. And statistical significance was measured at the probability of less than 0.05, with results expressed as adjacent odds ratios, and negative binomial regression was used to compare total length of hospital stay between the matched groups, and 1 year survival following emergency admission for cholecystitis was assessed using Kalpan-Meyer method, and cholecystectomy and no cholecystectomy groups were compared using long rank test. Yes, sir.
Okay, good.
Yes, sir.
So far, right, Hari.
Yes, sir.
Or shall we ask somebody else?
Yes, sir.
Um,
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Anybody else, can you please volunteer to say so far, what do you think? What is the pros and cons of this study? I saw some name called Smita. Is that right? Hello? Anybody from Aster who can talk? Hello? Okay, right.
ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ ರೀ PGs ಯಾರು ಇಲ್ಲ.
Ilva, okay.
Yeah.
Right, Hari,
Yes, sir.
what do you think of the study?
Sir, to start with, it is a good study topic, a relevant topic.
Yeah.
And right, you said like it is a published in journal with good impact factor. And regarding the study, it includes a large number of patients and who are matched with the proper scoring, like propensity scoring, and the guidelines were used were the stroke guidelines, which is good for the article published. And follow, and the time duration is also large, sir, like 2002 to 15, like 12 years, 13 years is there. And the endpoints and variables they have mentioned is very good. And also they've used the scores for all the this thing, like for example Charleston score and trust volume, etc. They have clearly explained and they've used it, sir, so which is very good for the study.
Okay.
And regarding for against this study, and it is a retrospective study, and it includes large varieties of patients, but even though they matched it, but I'm not sure whether that is correct. I mean, like they could have more specific with the exclusion criteria, or else like specific age groups, like that, sir. And then other than that, at this point, I don't think any other points against it.
Okay. Anybody else? Ajit, are you there? Hello?
No, sir. Yes.
So Ajit is not there?
Not there, sir.
Saurav?
No, sir. He's on duty, I think, sir.
Okay. Right. Anybody else? Abdul, what do you think?
Hello, sir. Sir,
Anything to add to the points that Hari made?
no, sir. Only advantage is very good journal club, good impact factor, and large patients, large number of patients, good
He's
follow-up.
mentioned all those things.
Yes,
He's
sir.
mentioned all those things.
Nothing.
Janani, are you there?
Yes, sir. So good evening, sir. So
Ah.
concept diagram is there, so that is also one favorable point.
Good. Okay.
The against is the heterogeneous group. So though the matching is done, but the wide range of group and matching cancels so many patients, sir.
Yeah.
So that among the total number, more than 10, 15, 20% patients were lost.
No, not that, not 20, 15, 20%. In fact, about 50% in the group of the interval cholecystectomy. If
Yes,
you
sir.
look at the nearly 30,000 patients in the interval cholecystectomy group,
Yes,
and
sir.
out of that, only 15,000 have been compared.
Yes,
So
sir.
other 15,000 have been lost.
Okay.
On the
Yes,
other hand, in the emergency cholecystectomy, almost all of them have been considered. So
Yes, sir.
what happens is the data will get skewed because significantly, because you may, even though they might have done it with good intention, the problem is you might have actually excluded all the complications and problems in the interval cholecystectomy to say that it is actually better to do interval cholecystectomy.
Yes,
So
sir.
there will be a significant bias there.
Yes,
Even
sir.
though they have done propensity score matching. See, propensity score matching, what is the, what do you think of stroke guidelines? Why should you use stroke guidelines? Will it affect the quality of the study?
No, sir. It's about the journal, how they conducted the journal, mainly.
No, how they actually write the paper. It's only,
Yes, correct.
it will help you to write the paper in the correct way. But if you have done the study badly, it will still not help you.
Yes, sir.
The stroke guidelines is only to, because see, basically what happens is when you do, let us say, meta-analysis, when you do, all this systematic review and things like that, what happens is if you can include studies which have not followed the stroke guidelines, then the quality of presentation of the journal will be bad. So you may not actually get good, data points, which is the advantage of stroke guideline. But it doesn't, if you have not conducted the study properly, then it will not help you in many ways. What is the problem with propensity score matching? Can anyone talk about that?
Journal club.
Indumati, teacher or student yaro neevu? Can you please unmute yourself? Indumati Balakrishnan. I can see a new name. I'm sorry, I don't know whether you are a student or a staff. Can you please unmute and talk? Unmute yourself, madam, please. Okay, okay.
Sir, one thing I'm not sure, sir, but the propensity matching is for the observed variables. Like what are the variables you observe, you match it, but still that bias maybe got reduced, but still the other hidden biases, the other variables maybe missed it. So this is not a 100% thing, but it helps in reducing bias for the observed values. One disadvantage is missing.
See, the thing is actually, if for example, if you are comparing reasonably close groups which are reasonably matched, then the propensity score matching will help to reduce the bias even more and maybe distribute the confounding factors equally among the two groups. But if the differences between the two groups is large, then even propensity score matching cannot bridge that gap. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes,
If
sir.
there is a significant difference between the two groups, then it cannot bridge the gap. So that is the thing. Dr. Shivram, so far, what do you think of the paper?
Ravi, I have one objection in this.
Yeah.
See, the terminology emergency cholecystectomy is always almost phased out. It is known as the early cholecystectomy.
Cholecystectomy, yeah.
So I don't know why they stuck to that name as emergency cholecystectomy.
Yeah, I think that is probably because that is the, I think they want, in England, maybe still it is considered as emergency. Maybe that is why they have stuck to that thing.
Right.
Yeah.
The
See,
various names are there, sir. Early,
Yeah.
emergency, and non-admission, etc. in different papers.
See, the thing is, I will just take a couple of minutes to explain the situation in England. See, the thing is, what happens is in England, because the healthcare is free at the point of delivery, the problem is there are a lot of confounding factors. Patients who, even with the symptoms being there at home and all that, either the general practitioner would have seen them at home, or they might have come to the general practitioner's clinic or surgery. And even though they need the admission, there may not be beds in the hospital. So they will intimate the hospital, and the hospital will say, we will find you a bed and we'll intimate you as soon as possible. So there is all these delays which are not accounted for. And other thing is, when patients get admitted, let us say under the geriatric care or under physicians, and if they get admitted for maybe pneumonia or fever of unknown origin, they may not necessarily always do ultrasound scan of the abdomen to see. Let us say they have pneumonia on the right side, they may just treat it as pneumonia, but they may not realize that the pneumonia may be due to an underlying cholecystitis or even an empyema or a perforated gallbladder, till the situation becomes quite different. So many times, because this is a retrospective data, a lot of these investigations may or may not have been performed. So there may be more patients who have cholecystitis who may not have been picked up because there is no protocol in which the everybody are scanned to see whether there is cholecystitis or not. So there are a lot of these kind of confounding factors, and even after patient comes into the hospital, there, because of non-availability of theaters, even though that situation is being remedied by having emergency or acute OTs in all the teaching hospitals and large hospitals, some of the smaller district general hospitals may not have that facility, and hence patients are delayed. And when the patients are delayed, they may go into the 5th day, 6th day. And then if they, if they are operated, then the complications and things may be more. So then again, this skews the data. And to say that emergency cholecystectomy or early cholecystectomy is a problem. So I think the data that is coming from England is unique. I think I don't say that they are, fudging the data or anything. They are giving the data as it is, but they are unique because of the circumstances that are operating in England, which is not seen in other countries, because other countries have different systems, because the other countries do not have this NHS where everything is free. So other countries where patients pay, and your insurance is there, they get treatment fairly early. So that is the difference between a paper coming from England. So you have to take this with that caveat. Okay. Any other questions? Anybody? But otherwise, they have done a good job in trying to match everything as much as possible. But only major criticism is, if you look at the number of patients, finally they have, after propensity score matching, almost all early cholecystectomies, as Dr. Shivaram puts it, which is the right terminology, have been included. But if you look at the interval cholecystectomy, among nearly 30,000 patients, only 16,000 patients have been included. So nearly half of them have been excluded. The problem is we don't know what has happened to them, what is the complication rate in them, what is their hospital admission, did they have repeated admissions because of problems relating to not offering cholecystectomy at the index admission of cholecystitis. So all these problems cannot be addressed because there is a significant number of patients who have been excluded, which is why there is a the study loses some of its credibility. Okay, continue, Indraja.
Yes,
Hello.
sir.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Ramakrishna.
Have you gone to that one? The chart is there, no? The first table or something.
Yes, sir.
It is coming next.
Yes, sir. Next it is there, sir.
Okay. Before that, why they have excluded this deaths without cholecystectomy? So some of those deaths
might have been due to cholecystitis. Yeah.
Could be due to cholecystitis. So
correct.
That becomes a problem because they have excluded. So the data belonging to the emergency cholecystectomy, they have excluded. That may introduce some amount of bias. That's one thing. In that exclusion, I think she didn't mention, but it is there in the next chart. They say the patients with previous cholecystectomy have been excluded.
Yes, sir.
When the diagnosis is acute cholecystitis, where is the question of cholecystectomy? Means the patient has already undergone cholecystectomy. Where is the question of acute cholecystitis?
Correct. That was. I was very worried. I thought, why have they mentioned that at all? Correct.
That is one of the exclusion criteria they have mentioned.
Correct.
So that is the case. There is no question of cholecystitis.
Correct.
Yes.
So I think that is a wrong statement they have made. Yes.
And
anything else, Dr. Ramakrishna? What do you think of this? Propensity score matching. They have almost half of the patients in interval cholecystectomies have been excluded.
Yes, sir. The problem of propensity score matching is that only we lose a lot of data. So we need a very large data, something like this lakhs. Then only you get significant number. But that system itself is like that. Definitely you are going to lose some amount of data in that because while matching, so many patients are not matched. So ultimately how it becomes means if you take the emergency cholecystectomy as the primary group, the data of the other group will be matched with this. So for each patient in the group 1, you will get one patient from the group 2. So ultimately those two groups becomes equal. So if the emergency cholecystectomy group has got only 15,000 patients, the other group also is reduced to the same number because you will be matching 1:1
number.
So that's how the system itself is like that. Whenever the PSM is applied, this is going to happen. That is one of the characteristics of the PSM.
Yeah.
And it doesn't become
anybody else.
That's what I want to tell.
Yeah. Sir, but my worry is if you exclude all those patients, matching the patients of emergency, the data about the patients who have been excluded, they might have had recurrent admissions due to, gallstone related problems. They might have had complications. All these things get excluded. So the data will get skewed, don't you think?
Allah, that will be there. But if you include what happens, these two groups are not at all matched. Means you will be comparing apple with oranges.
Matched, yeah.
It becomes like that because these two groups are not comparable.
That is the thing.
See, one group may be having a lot of female patients, one group may be having a lot of younger patients or patients without comorbidities, the other group is having higher comorbidities. Then the two groups are not really matchable. So you are going to apply PSM to make them matchable, so comparable. That's why.
Correct. No, I agree. In principle, it is right. But when you are studying, for example, when you are studying gallstone related, admissions, gallstone related, sort of deaths and all that, there might be more in that group which has been excluded, but then it doesn't come into play, which is what I am saying.
Sir, because a similar patient is not there in this emergency group. So
correct. No, I agree. I agree the principle. See, when you have a retrospective study, propensity scoring score matching is one of the best methods to try and equalize the two groups. There is no doubt about that. So, and they have done that. So, which is not a negative point. But what my contention is, if in case there were patients in that second group which have been excluded, there were more gallstone related complications, recurrent admissions and things, because they have finally concluded that it doesn't actually matter if you have interval cholecystectomy, there is no problem. In fact, admissions are higher, number of hospital length of stays higher in the emergency group. It is actually, so they have tried to make conclusions based on that. So which is why I think sometimes the data may actually be skewed.
That is one of the drawbacks of PSM, sir. The lot of data is lost. So that is one of the characteristic, because this has become an accepted method of comparing. So we have to accept it, and probably this will be used to design a randomized control trial. So ethics committee may ask for data. No, for that this data can be produced, but ultimate conclusion should be drawn, or the guidelines for next practice guidelines. You may need RCT.
Yeah. Okay, continue, Indraja.
Yes, sir. And the points of
Nishant,
in favor of the study.
Nishant, are you there? Nishant, are you there? Okay, you may not be there. Okay, continue, ma.
Yes, sir. So points in favor of study includes.
We have already done. I think
sir.
we have mentioned all of that. So
yes,
move
sir.
on to the results.
Yes, sir. And a total of 99,130 patients were admitted in England as an emergency with the primary diagnosis of acute cholecystitis between 2002 to 2015. Of these 99,000 patients, 5,900 patients were excluded based on the exclusion criteria, and a total of 93,000 patients divided into who underwent surgery and who did not undergo surgery. Of this, 47,000 patients did not undergo cholecystectomy, and 45,000 patients underwent cholecystectomy. In these 45,000, 29,000 patients underwent interval cholecystectomy, and 16,000 patients underwent emergency cholecystectomy. And these two groups were matched with propensity score matching, and around 15,600 patients were matched between two groups. And when coming to the cholecystectomy versus non-operative treatment for acute cholecystitis, there was significant differences in the explanatory variables. There are a number of 47,000 patients did not undergo surgery, and 45,000 patients underwent cholecystectomy followed by index admission. And who did not undergo the cholecystectomy were older, and males are more compared to the females and with more comorbidities. And cholecystectomy was more likely to be performed in high volume centers when compared with medium and low volume centers. And at 1 year following emergency admission, the all-cause mortality rate is more in non-operated group when compared to the operated group. And in this, gallbladder-related deaths were more in non-operated group. But these gallbladder related deaths were significantly low when compared with all other causes of death in non-operated group. And these are the
but again, that is
yes.
Yeah, carry on. Yeah, carry
Yes.
on.
Yes, sir. And these are the different.
Carry on, carry on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And these are the different explanatory variables that are explained in both cholecystectomy and no cholecystectomy groups. And when coming to the emergency versus interval cholecystectomy, 45,000 patients underwent cholecystectomy. In this index, cholecystectomy was 16,000 and interval cholecystectomy were 29,000. And median time from emergency admission to cholecystectomy in emergency group is 3 days, and interval cholecystectomy group it was 1 or 3 days. And majority of patients with in interval cholecystectomy group did not require readmission before their interval cholecystectomy. And in unmatched group, patients undergoing emergency cholecystectomy were more likely to be female with more comorbidities and less deprived. And this surgery was performed more in high volume centers and teaching hospitals. And the all-cause mortality rate is more in index cholecystectomy when compared to the interval cholecystectomy. And the total hospital admission time is also more in index cholecystectomy when compared to the interval cholecystectomy. And in a matched group, the total hospital admission time is more in emergency group when compared to the interval group. And there is a higher risk of all-cause mortality rate in emergency cholecystectomy following 1 year after index admission. And these are the different explanatory variables explained in the unmatched group. And when compared to the low and medium volume centers, the cholecystectomy is performed in high volume centers. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Right. Janani, what do you think?
So the data, huge number of data actually takes the this thing, sir. Takes the concentration of what we are looking for really. That is the one for against, and they have already we have discussed that the matching is being done correctly, but still the large number of data is lost in interval cholecystectomy than emergency cholecystectomy. So these are the points against.
Hari?
Sir, regarding the for this at this point, the statistic they have mentioned and the results they got out of the good statistics they have put, like for Kaplan-Meier t-test or the studies for statistics is good, and the groups are divided clearly. And also the regarding against for at this point, so there are a lack of data regarding what surgeries, surgical complications they have met, and what are the details about it, and also the data regarding the non-operative groups, like what treatment they are given, and also regarding the death in different groups, not much adequate information was given, is what I felt.
Yeah, see, you said about Kaplan-Meier, you said t-test. It's not Kaplan-Meier t-test. Okay. The Kaplan-Meier survival. Basically, it is, it is the best test available to compare the two groups in terms of survival over a period of time. And they have used, a log rank test to compare the two groups for the, for the operating and the interval and the acute or the early cholecystectomy groups. So I think statistics they have applied is correct. Yes. I don't think there is any doubt about that. Yes. See, the main thing is they've said that the mortality rates in the non-operative group is higher compared to the operative group. And even the gallbladder related mortality is also high. But they add that if you look at the overall mortality, the gallbladder mortality is not so high. I think that is actually a irrelevant statement, because if you are only comparing the acute cholecystitis patient, and if the mortality in the cholecystitis group, in the non-operative and the operative group is different, and if it is statistically significant, how can you justify to a patient that I'm not going to operate on you, even though I know that you are more likely to die? So it is a very, I think very controversial statement to make. There was a comment in the chat group by Tanveer. Tanveer, can you speak up, please? Indication for opting to non-operative treatment.
Hello, yes, sir.
Yeah, please. What was your doubt?
Sir, this was regarding the flowchart that was put up, sir, from 93,000 of patients who were opted for surgery. They were divided into two groups, operable and non-operable. And even in high volume centers, there was a large population of patients who were opted for surgical procedures. So I wanted to know on basis of what was this division made? Whether it was based on symptomatology or severity?
See, I think they have mentioned that they looked at the, the Charlson comorbidity index and patients who are sick and who had a lot of comorbidity, such patients were excluded. So I think, but because this is a retrospective study, there is not been, they have not stratified the patients before. There is no protocol to say these are the patients who will be excluded, these are the patients who will be operated. So because it's a retrospective study, I don't think you can get much data out of that.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right, Dr. Ramakrishna, sir.
Hello, sir. Here, one major defect I found was whenever you are doing PSM, they have given the comparison. I think she can go back to that table number 2 or 3 something. No, next table. Here, propensity score before explanator. Not this. I think one more table is there. 3. Table 3. Here. This is before matching, no?
Yeah.
So this one, yeah, exactly. So these patient characteristics before matching, and they have shown that p-value is significant. That means the age of these two group patients differs significantly.
Yeah.
The purpose of matching is to see that these two groups become comparable.
Correct.
So they should have given one more table to show the same data in matched group. Yeah. And they should prove that the p-value will be more than 0.05.
Correct.
So that table is definitely required here. Unless they show that, you can't say these two groups are really comparable. The whole purpose of PSM is gone there.
Yeah.
Whenever there is PSM, that table should be there. Probably you remember the previous Journal Club also, we had same thing, PSM scoring and all. So at that time we had made comment in that they had given two groups, two tables, one before matching, another after matching. Before matching, there was significant disparity. After matching, there is no disparity. Correct. So that should come up. Then only the subsequent data becomes useful. That's one thing. Secondly, they have studied only up to 4 years, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the complications of not operating can arise even after 4 years. It can go up to 10 years, 15 years. Correct. Sometimes we have seen the malignancies in a long term, or acute cholecystitis after 6 to 8 years of having gallstone. Those complications can occur. So we are not sure whether not to operate is justified based on this data.
Correct. And the other thing is, I think they have admitted themselves that there is no details about the operating, in the early or the emergency cholecystectomy group. The operating details are not available. Then the quality of life they have not assessed. Then patient, reported complications or quality of life or patient reported problems have not been assessed. So these are extremely important. If the patient continues to have a lot of symptoms and their quality of life is very poor when they have been, when they have actually been assigned to this non-operating group, I think then it becomes a very difficult thing, because you can't tell a patient you continue to suffer, but we are not going to operate on you. So that it becomes a very difficult thing. So there are a lot of these things, but because it's a retrospective study, a lot of these things cannot be addressed because they've only got the data and they've analyzed the data based on what they have. Okay. Oh, right, Janani, sorry, Indraja, go for your critique. What have you thought of the critique?
Sir, sorry, sir.
Okay.
Yes,
yeah, stay there. Yes.
Yes, sir. In favor of the study, it is a good statistics and patients were divided into groups clearly, sir. And the groups were compared with the standard guidelines and matched with the propensity score matching. And they didn't mention about the surgery details and no information about the readmissions and the cause of death in different groups, sir. They didn't mention. And they didn't mention information about treatment in interval cholecystectomy and non-operated groups, like what they have done in those groups. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
They didn't
Okay.
mention. Yes, sir. Can I continue, sir?
Yeah.
Yes. And coming to the
Sorry, just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Dr. Shivaram, sir, any comment? Hello, Dr. Shivaram? I think he might have left. Okay, right.
Yes, sir.
Continue.
Yes, sir. And cholecystectomy is the remains treatment of choice for most of the patients with symptomatic gallstones. Around 51% of the patients in England did not undergo cholecystectomy following index emergency admission with acute cholecystitis. When followed up for nearly 5 years, 47% of patients did not undergo a cholecystectomy. And the non-operative management can be influenced by patient factors like age and comorbidities and hospital factors like low medium volume centers. And non-operated group had a higher 1-year all-cause mortality rate and non-gallbladder related mortality that consistent with the hypothesis. And in the 12 months following index admission, the hospital stay is more in operated group when compared to the non-operated group. And emergency patients who underwent emergency operation spend an extra 4.7 days in hospital over a period of 12 months. And a recent systemic review from Norway identified a 55% of heterogeneous cohort randomized to conservative treatment that did not undergo a cholecystectomy during 14-year follow-up period. And it includes most of the patients were older with more comorbidities. And there were valid concerns of waiting an interval cholecystectomy, and most of the patients are likely to suffer gallstone-related complications and recurrent admissions. And 80% of the patients in the interval group do not have another hospital admission prior to the cholecystectomy. And emergency cholecystectomies can be complex operative cases and have higher risk and poorer outcomes, with long operative times and greater intraoperative blood loss. The limitations of current study is a lack of quality of life data and patient reported outcomes, and it is unclear that these non-operated patients suffered from recurrent symptoms or complications. And this current study did not review any detail on temporizing interventions such as percutaneous gallbladder drainage procedures. And radiological drainage procedures are coded in HES database, but it is unclear whether these are for drainage of collections for unrelated reasons. Yes, sir.
Okay. Hari? Let us ask Janani first. Janani?
Sir, overall, they covered everything, sir, almost the non-operated group, operated group and the thing, but they didn't tell what they specifically did for each group. Otherwise, the study is good, sir.
No, but that is the problem, no, because it's a retrospective study. There is
Yes.
no question of telling anything about any group. They're only trying to analyze the data that they have. That's all.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Hari?
Yes, sir. For this point, sir, for the study is like the outcomes were with the data they have, the outcomes they have measured well, and in the discussion, like whatever they started with, like including the patient factors and the hospital variables, they have tried to match it and compile it and tell us which factors influences. That is good for this result concern. And regarding against at this point, sir, like they are more, I felt more concentrated on the interval and index admissions, like Indiraja mentioned, and then they also mentioned that non-operative group, they didn't mention about any complications. So it is like they are more concentrated on this thing. They could have included that also. It will be very better, sir. And also quality of life is not mentioned, like you said. And also any other quality scores are there. Are many quality of life score, like gastrointestinal quality of life score is there. So anything they could have used to see the patient outcomes. That's what I felt.
Okay. Tanvir? Tanvir? Tanvir, Abdul, Tanvir.
Sir, I agree with what was told, sir. I don't have anything to add, sir.
Okay, Abdul.
There is no data about whether it was laparoscopically done or open.
No, I think that is probably irrelevant because they are only looking at they're not comparing open and laparoscopic.
And readmission, yes, sir. And readmissions also, there are no data.
They have no data about that. So even though they've said that they have looked at all the readmissions and everything, and still the number of admissions in the emergency or the early group is higher compared to the elective, the what do you call that, the interval cholecystectomy group. But what happens again, this is a very specific problem in England, is that patients who even admitted with the hospital, for example, let us say in India, let us say a patient with acute cholecystitis gets admitted today, there is a good chance that he may be operated today or tomorrow at worst. But in England, because of a lot of issues, getting an ultrasound scan will take 2 days, getting a operating theater time and assessment by the physician, anesthetic assessment, all these things will take time. So because of that, even though the patient should have been operated much early, will be operated later. So then again, because these are all inbuilt, problems that have happened in the system, then to make a conclusion that patients with the emergency cholecystectomy stayed longer in the hospital is probably wrong. And again, what they have said is that patients with more comorbidities were operated in the emergency group compared to the elective group. It should have been the other way around, because patients should have who had comorbidities, you optimize them and allow them to settle down and then bring them back in the for a interval cholecystectomy, rather than operating on patients who have a lot of comorbidity. Sometimes what happens is maybe the patient did not settle and you have to operate on them. But so there is a lot of this skewing of data because of the system that is followed in England. Many conclusions what they have drawn may be correct or may not be correct because of all the inherent problems in the system. But in terms of the interval cholecystectomy, because these are patients who will be admitted for the cholecystectomy, there is less likely to be delay because they will be assigned an operating list. They would have had pre-op assessment, so they will come in on a designated day, get the operation done and go. So because of that, there is less likely to be delay in that case. But as far as emergency are concerned, there can be delay because of lot of inherent problems in the system. And I'm not criticizing the system, but that is what it is. So that is why to draw inferences from that system becomes very difficult. And so that is why not many conclusions that they have come to can be implemented in the rest of the world. Dr. Ramakrishna sir?
Sir, 2 slides before there was one controversial statement I saw. No, before that, this emergency, that same slide, that previous slide, what you showed.
This one, sir.
Emergency cholecystectomy can be complex operative procedures, have higher risk of poorer outcome. Is it based on the data presented in the paper, or it is from some other paper?
So generally they have mentioned, I think, sir.
Well, how can you mention generally?
No, sir.
Even if it is general, see, this. Do you think this is a correct statement? What do you feel? If
No,
this
sir.
is the correct thing, then early cholecystectomy is not at all advised. Why early cholecystectomy is advised in majority of cases?
I think that is though there is no justification as far as their data is concerned, they have made a controversial statement like that, I think.
Because this is neither based on the reported literature or whatever guidelines the international.
Yeah, I think the Guru Swami, there is a very famous. Yeah, yes, sir.
Because even in their data also, the data on this operative time and blood loss, all those things are not presented in this paper. And if you see the literature also,
make statements.
Even in the literature also, I don't think this is justified.
Yeah, correct. There is a very famous meta-analysis by Guru Swami which is quoted in every paper, in every study about cholecystitis. He has done a Cochrane review and meta-analysis, which shows that early cholecystectomy is very safe and it saves a lot of apart from the complications and recurrent admissions and everything. And even financially, it is viable because it avoids multiple admissions. And if you look at the quality of life also, there is significant improvement, and there is a good study from Singapore which has shown a significant improvement in quality of life indices. They have done what is called as a GQuIL, which is gastrointestinal quality of life index, which shows that patients who suffered before with acute cholecystitis and gallstone related problems, and once they had index admission surgeries, their quality of life was far better compared to those patients who waited for 6 months and or 6 weeks and then had the surgery. So there is no doubt that I think choice of patients is important. One more thing for the patient, for the postgraduates, there was also a good study which shows that patients who are operated within 3 days, conversion to open cholecystectomy, blood loss, bile duct injury, early recovery, usage of drain, all these things are not negligible. When you do it in between 3 to 5 days, the rates increase a little, though the bile duct injury is about 0.7%, and if you do it beyond 7 days, then the bile duct injury rate goes up to 1.3 or 1.4%, which is high. And blood loss and other things, conversion to open cholecystectomy becomes about 8 to 10%, whereas it is only 1 or 2% before. So there is no doubt, if the patients come to you beyond 5 days, then unless there is definite indication to operate, you can start them on IV antibiotics and watch them, and if they settle down, then there is all justification for you to bring them back at the end of 4 to 6 weeks and operate on them. But if they come within for 96 hours to the hospital, that is definitely 96 hours of the onset of symptoms, you are very well justified in offering early cholecystectomy for these patients, and their all parameters comparing to the later, which is the interval cholecystectomy, is very good, and quality of life is much better. Patient related outcomes are much better. So there is no doubt about that. Any questions? Okay, literature review. Go for the literature review now.
Yes, sir. Sir, these are the points against the sir. Can I? And
Yeah.
there was no data about open and laparoscopic procedures, and there was lack of information readmission and lack of quality of life data. And there was no details about radiological investigations, and HES did not include any clear information about investigative findings and operative data, sir.
Correct.
Yes.
So this is what I'm saying. See, many of these patients, if they are admitted under physicians or admitted under for some other reason, pneumonia, as I said, they may not necessarily have an ultrasound scan. So even though they have acute cholecystitis, and if they die of pneumonia, then the cause is wrongly attributed to pneumonia, though it could have been attributed to acute cholecystitis and its related complication. So that is why because the data, the way it is done in UK, there can be lot of what we call as their lacunae in the data, because it's not to criticize the system is as it is, but when you collect data retrospectively, these are the faults that will come up. But if you collect prospective data, you can definitely account for all these things and make sure that every single patient who comes to the hospital will have an ultrasound scan. But if the patient goes to a geriatric ward with the pneumonia, they may not necessarily think about doing an ultrasound scan of the abdomen. They may just get a chest X-ray done and treat them for pneumonia. So which is when you will miss an acute cholecystitis. So these are the lacunae in the system, and because this is a retrospective data, these lacunae are highlighted, and which is why the inferences that are drawn based on the data may not be absolutely accurate. Okay, continue.
Yes, sir. And conclusion, there is a strict oversight needs to be considered when financial incentivizing index emergency cholecystectomy, and the default policies of emergency cholecystectomy for all patients during emergency admission with acute cholecystitis may risk over treatment, and when watchful waiting or judicial interval cholecystectomy may be more appropriate. And when come to the
Do you think-
yes,
No, do you think the conclusion is justified with the data they have presented?
yes, sir.
No.
No.
See, there is not enough data to say that watchful waiting, the interval cholecystectomy may be more appropriate. Where is the data to support that statement?
No, sir. No, sir.
There isn't any data to say definitely, the interval cholecystectomy was far better compared to emergency cholecystectomy.
No, they themselves have mentioned the elective cholecystectomy group have got higher mortality of 3.3%.
Correct.
They have not looked into complication also. They see mortality is not the only thing we look at, or the reason to operate, to prevent some of the complications and other morbidities. Those things are also important indications for surgery, means reasons for operating. Those things are not studied, and mortality is higher in this elective group. They themselves have mentioned something like 3.3%. And when mortality is higher, how can you justify that?
You can't justify the conclusion. The conclusion they have drawn is wrong.
Yes,
that is the main thing.
Okay. Yes, sir.
Go to the literature.
Alastair Young et al. Conducted a study on index admission laparoscopic cholecystectomy for patients with acute biliary symptoms. It is a retrospective study. In this study, the laparoscopic cholecystectomy can be performed safely in patients with acute biliary symptoms and should be considered the gold standard management. And there was a high conversion rate to open procedure must be accepted when treating with a more complicated disease. And patients operated acutely had a longer median length of stay and longer preoperative waiting time between admission and surgery. And there was another study by Christopher Rice et al. He conducted study on operative complications and economic outcomes of cholecystectomy for acute cholecystitis. In the study, they compare the complication rates and hospital costs between same admission versus delayed cholecystectomy among patients admitted emergently for acute cholecystitis. And patients with acute cholecystitis develop more complications and incur increased charges when undergoing same admission cholecystectomy compared to delayed approach. And this data supports a selective approach to surgery for patients with acute cholecystitis have a lower complication rate when it is delayed. And another study by Guruswamy et al. It is a meta-analysis of randomized controlled trials on the safety and effectiveness of early versus delayed laparoscopic cholecystectomy for acute cholecystitis. The findings of this review are applicable to the patient with acute cholecystitis due to gallstones. And in this study, they mentioned acute cholecystitis appears to be safe and shortens the total early laparoscopic cholecystectomy during acute cholecystitis appears to be safe and shortens the total hospital stay. And surgery is more complex and conversion rates are higher in acute cholecystitis than in uncomplicated gallstone disease. Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So okay, let us ask Hari and maybe Tanvir. Tanvir, what do you think is the take-home message from this study?
Very mixed feelings, sir. But that take home message was actually this thing only, whether interval cholecystectomy or emergency cholecystectomy. It's still a little bit of confused because of the data. Maybe I'll try to go back and read a few more articles on that.
Yeah. Hari?
Sir, the topic is relevant, but I can't get into a conclusion based on this paper because of what and all we discussed about the SKU. But we can go ahead with, in our scenario, what are the things we can do, and we can. It's a good topic to go ahead and study and make a study out of paper out of it.
Correct. Okay, Abdul, what do you think are the take-home message from this study?
Sir, too many variables, sir, and confounding factors. So exactly we cannot say what it is from this study, but need further RCTs and meta-analysis to confirm. But as of now, the standard treatment is early lap chole is better.
Dr. Ramakrishna, sir?
Yes, sir. All I can say is the matter is not still settled, whether to do early or delayed. So my policy is if the patient comes within 3 days, I operate. If he comes 4th day onwards, I will delay it to 6 weeks.
Yeah, I think you are right. Basically, it is very difficult to make any conclusions from this study. However, it does suggest that, it is not always that every patient who comes in with acute cholecystitis, you operate. You have to obviously give credence to the comorbidity, this Charlson's, the comorbidity index and all these things. So as Dr. Ramakrishna said, the rule of the thumb is if patients come within 72 or maximum 96 hours after the onset of symptoms, and it is important that the patient has to be reliable. That is very important, because many times the patient, my pain might have started a week ago, but then it had become more severe in the last 2-3 days. So you have to repeatedly question them, and then look at all their comorbidities and things like that, and get an ultrasound scan, look at the ultrasound scan, liver function test, all these things. Take all of these things into consideration, and presence of diabetes and other comorbidities, and then take a call. But as a rule of thumb, patients coming within the 72 to 96 hours after onset of symptoms, you are justified into offering early laparoscopic stroke open cholecystectomy. Beyond that, you should be careful. Some of them, despite IV antibiotics for a period of time, will not settle. Such patients may have empyema or perforated gallbladder. And in such patients, you will have no choice but to go in, accepting the risk of conversion and probably bleeding and other complications. So, it has to be a considered approach rather than a blanket approach. You can't say anybody coming with acute cholecystitis, irrespective of their timing, I will operate. That is a wrong approach. But if they come within the first 3 to 4 days after definitive onset of symptoms, then you are justified in offering them early laparoscopic cholecystectomy. If they come beyond that, or if they have a lot of comorbidities, and then you are justified in treating them conservatively, letting them settle, and then optimizing their general condition, improving their diabetic control. If they have COPD, giving them chest physiotherapy and getting them better, and then optimizing them, and then offering interval cholecystectomy. On the other hand, we are not talking about other complications like cholangitis and gallstone pancreatitis, because they are a separate topic. We are only addressing acute cholecystitis here. But the essence of this paper, that emergency cholecystectomies are more risky compared to the elective ones, is not justified given the data that they have presented. And this is the problem with the retrospective studies, because the protocols are not formed, and so the two groups are, even though using propensity score matching, they have tried to match it, but it is not appropriate. Okay, I think that is my take on the thing. I think it was well presented by Indraja. I think she's made a good effort, but you can certainly improve in terms of giving more better literature review for
Yes.
this. Okay, right.
Okay, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
So if everyone has no other doubts, we will conclude this. Thank you very much for participating, and good night.
Thank you, sir. Good night, sir.
Good night.
Good night.